orders say Naval Base Kitsap, the first thing you're gonna do is open Zillow. That's a mistake, and I get it. After moving more than 10 times ourselves, I know exactly why you do it. Here's the order we'd actually go in if we got orders here tomorrow. Everyone starts the same way. Zillow, Realtor.com, the spouse group chat. That's not wrong, it's just too early. Houses are the last decision, not the first one. Everything before that is what makes the house decision actually good instead of a guess. That's the whole video. 5 things we'd nail down before a single listing in the order we'd do them. Naval Base Kitsap isn't one place. It's Bangor, it's Bremerton, it's PSNS, it's Keyport, it's Manchester. 2 people both say I'm stationed at Naval Base Kitsap and have completely different lives depending on which one they actually report to. So before anything else, get specific. Which area? How often are you actually commuting? Every day, shift work, hybrid, or are you heading out to sea for chunks of the year? Duty days. Because your commute reality isn't the same as the family down the street, although they have the same duty station on their orders. We had a family last year who assumed Bremerton because that's what the order said. Turned out the boat was at Bangor. If they'd bought first and figured that out later, they'd have been driving that gap twice a day for 3 years.
And then there's the thing that happened to us, like when we were in Norfolk, when the sub starts at the shipyard and then moves to its permanent pier. You can't do much about that, but at least recognizing your duty spot may shift.
Here's where this gets different from every other relocation video you'll watch. I'm not gonna ask you what you want your Saturday to look like. I'm going to ask you, what do you want your Tuesday to look like? Saturday is easy, everybody's happy. But Tuesday, that's the real test. School drop-off, grocery run, the actual commute base, not the map estimate, the one at 6 a.m. Soccer practice. Is there a date night area people can actually get to? Are you near the ferry, and does that matter to you?
Here's what that actually looks like. We had one family whose child was a competitive gymnast. Her academy was in Silverdale, so Silverdale wasn't just a nice option for them. It was the anchor that their whole week needed to be built around. If they had chosen Port Orchard, that would have added on an additional 30 minutes each way to the gym, 3 times a week, 6 trips. Or take the spouse who plans to work in Seattle 3 days a week. For her, the daily life question wasn't about a gym or a school, it was the ferry schedule. Being close to one of the fast ferry terminals wasn't a nice to have, it was the only way that job actually worked. Pick the wrong town, even one that looks fine on a map, and you've made that commute unworkable before you've even unpacked.
That's the question I ask every client before we talk price or towns, because the answer changes everything downstream. A family who wants walkable errands and 1 car needs a completely different town than a family who's fine driving 15 minutes for groceries, but wants 5 acres and quiet. Neither is wrong, but you have to know which one you are before you can pick a place. And I don't mean here's your BAH number. I mean, what monthly payment actually feels comfortable to you? Quick thing to remember about BAH, the government says the basic allowance for housing isn't meant to cover 100% of your housing expenses. And also, it can change year to year. Sometimes it does go up, sometimes it goes down. Of course, if it drops while you're still at this duty station, you stay locked in at the higher rate. That's worth knowing before you budget. And here's the other piece that almost nobody explains. Some high-cost duty stations get something called COLA on top of BAH, a cost of living adjustment for everyday expenses. Kitsap doesn't get that. Now, Seattle, right across the water, does. They're getting 5% COLA in 2026. So out here, BAH is really kind of doing double duty, if you will. It's built to cover housing, and then, some everyday costs are expected to come out of your base pay. That matters because Kitsap runs higher on cost of living than a lot of markets, yet without the COLA extra funds. On top of that, utilities, gas, daycare if you need it, HOA dues if you're in a newer neighborhood, groceries, which run, yes, a little higher out here than a lot of places you're coming from. I'm not going to walk through the full math in this video. That's coming in its own video with real numbers pulled straight from the published BAH tables. What I do recommend that you do right now is kind of get comfortable with a number. Be honest with yourself, not what the bank says that you're approved for, but the number that you can actually live with for housing costs over the next couple of years, knowing that it's a little higher here and there's no COLA, no extra pay to cover those things the way it might be in Seattle or Hawaii. Now, and only now, we talk about area, not a house, an area. Because once you know your base, you know your Tuesday, and you know your number, the geography almost picks itself. A family who needs to be close to Bremerton with a tight commute and a tighter budget is looking at a different map than a family with more flexibility who wants the retail and convenience of somewhere like Silverdale.
Put those three things together and watch what happens. A family stationed at Bangor, more flexibility in their budget, and a spouse who needs to be near the ferry. That family is probably looking at Silverdale or somewhere close to it before we've even opened a listing. A family with a tighter budget who wants their money to go farther is probably looking south, maybe Port Orchard or nearby. But that comes with the trade-off. That service member's commute is likely to be longer and probably means going through Gorst. So that family has to be honest about whether that drive is worth what they're saving. Neither family is wrong, they're just solving for different things. That's what I mean when I say the geography almost picks itself. Once you know your gate, your Tuesday, and your number for budget, you're not guessing anymore. You're just confirming what you already knew.
I've got full breakdowns coming on every town in the county. Head to head, honest pros and cons, what your specific budget buys in each one. This isn't that video. This is the video that makes sure you're ready for those videos when they land. Now finally, Zillow. Now the listings actually mean something to you because you're not falling in love with a kitchen with pretty counters in a town that doesn't fit your life. You're shopping inside a set of answers you already have.
Then notice the difference. You're not opening 40 tabs across 3 towns trying to figure out where you belong. You already know your gate, you know your Tuesday, you know your number, and you know your area. So now when a listing pops up, you can actually tell in a few seconds whether it's worth a second look. Not because of the granite counters, but because you already know it fits the life you're building here. That's the whole shift. Same Zillow, completely different search.
If you only remember one thing from this video, remember this. Don't choose your house first, choose your life first. Then find the house that fits it. Ready to start narrowing down a town? Check out the video where I rank the best and worst spots to live near the base. If you've got orders to Kitsap and want help working through these 5 things before you start touring homes, the link's below. We'll walk through it exactly like we do with all our clients.